For the past 2 weeks, thousands of people around the country have protested police brutality and racial inequality. One change they want, more civilian oversight over complaints of officer misconduct.
KSL investigator BRITTANY GLAS discovered not every agency currently uses civilian review boards in Utah, raising many questions about officer oversight in our state.
Utah's Department of Public Safety does not track civilian review boards, but to the best of our knowledge, after reaching out to Utah's largest law enforcement agencies, our state has at least 2 fully independent civilian review boards.
It can't happen anymore.
Chants that protesters say have been a long time coming.
There's generational trauma here.
We just out here living our lives.
I really think this is the breaking point. All we're trying to do is be seen equal and be seen as humans.
As protesters filled the streets of Salt Lake City, messages demanding change appeared everywhere.
They got to hold the police accountable.
JEANETTA Williams is the president of the Utah chapter of the NAACP.
And that's why I think so many people are out protesting, because they're saying, you know, we saw the camera footage, but is it enough?
After the protests are over,
in Utah and on the national stage, police reform has reached lawmakers with this question in mind. Is there enough oversight of law enforcement?
It's really about being fair.
The NAACP is demanding the implementation of citizens' review boards to hold police accountable and build public confidence. So what is a civilian review board? The idea is to get a panel of non-cops together whose job it is to make sure a department's officers are investigated and disciplined appropriately. But the KSL investigators found the most the 2 Utah CRBs can really do is make recommendations to the police chief.
We did recommend, to the chief, the dismissal of those officers.
Williams served 20 years on the West Valley City Police Professional Standards Review Board. It's one of the largest police jurisdictions we found using one. The other is Salt Lake City PD.
That's one of the issues that our national NAACP is pushing, subpoena power.
In Utah, neither existing board has subpoena power, meaning they can't launch their own investigation into an officer. And the police chiefs aren't required to follow the board's recommendations, begging the question.
But it could be argued that ultimately,
do these boards have enough power to make real change?
I think it goes back to your question of, does there need to be more teeth in the civilian review board? And I could see a circumstance where there would need to be.
Attorney Jessica Andrew sits on Salt Lake's review board. The department saw 365 internal affairs cases in 2019, 9 of which involved use of force.
All excessive force complaints are automatically referred to us.
And the board will hear the latest officer-involved critical incident involving Bernardo Palacios Carbajal, who was killed just a block from here on May 23rd by Salt Lake City police officers. Graphic body cam footage shows police appear to shoot Carbajal in the back.
Like, if I'm going to be a responsible citizen, but especially a responsible board member, I need to look at the facts.
Although initially skeptical of police, Andrew says her experience on the board has overall been a positive one.
I wish every police agency had one.
Why then doesn't every Utah agency have one? It's something State Representative and former UHP trooper Lee Perry says is great in theory, but would need finessing in practice.
It's going to cost you some money because you're going to have to do it right. You got to make sure they're trained and that there's repercussions if they don't do it right.
Lee echoes a common concern, whether someone can fairly judge police action if they've never been on the force.
I don't have a problem with civilian or citizen review panels as long as they're educated.
In Salt Lake, an independent investigator presents a summary of evidence to the board.
And in my 2.5 years on the board, there's never been a time where I felt that we were not given the full facts, we weren't given the truth.
In nearly every decision over the last year, the Salt Lake City Civilian Review Board agreed with what police had determined.
The board needs power, or the board is just symbolic. The board
Black Lives Matter Utah founder Lex Scott is calling for a complete overhaul of the Civilian Review Board in the capital city.
Correct. It's time to clean house.
With no current Black members, BLM Utah says the makeup of the city's board needs to change.
You know, in an ideal world, you would have Pacific Islander representation, Black representation, Latinx representation, Asian representation.
And Mayor ERIN Mendenhall agrees.
And I am looking to increase the diversity to a more equitable representation of who our community is and have that better reflected in the board itself.
Mendenhall vows to also form a city commission to take a hard look at racial equity in policing.
Look at those policies in depth or recommend changes to the city council, who ultimately will have that authority to make changes to our city laws.
Until the community and police get on the same page, protesters say their message will remain the same.
I have an obligation to be here. I don't necessarily want to be here, but I have an obligation.
Salt Lake City Review Board members tell me anyone can request their complaint against SLCPD be heard by the Civilian Review Board, but you only have 4 days to request that after you file your complaint with the department first. There are currently 3 vacancies on their board. Back to you.
Brittany, thank you.